How do we tell our denim jackets apart? There are so many types of denim jackets with different shapes and different details, so it can be really difficult to find the perfect one for your shape and your size. So first up, the Type 1 jacket. The Type 1 jacket is the oldest of the Type 1, Type 2 and Type 3s, being brought about in the early 1900s. It was originally a workwear jacket, so it has this lovely cropped boxy shape, which means you have easy access for the tools and your pockets, and it also has shorter arms that make sure you don't get trapped in any machinery. The jacket is really easy to identify with these lovely pleats at the front and the single pocket here. The cinch makes sure you can tighten it at the bottom really nicely, and you can find kind of an ideal shape for your body if you want something slimmer at the bottom. The history of these jackets are really long, and they went through World War II as well, so there's some really interesting variations. A favourite of mine is the World War II model. For rationing purposes, they took this top pocket flap off, so you have an exposed open pocket. They shortened the button closure, so you've only got 4 buttons instead of the usual 5, and the buttons that are used are the donut buttons with the laurels, which is a really nice piece of history. Both freewheelers and full count do a version of this, and they are fantastic jackets. The Type 1 is probably the most versatile of all the jackets we'll talk about today, so it's really great for casual outfits or dressier stuff. Really anything and everything it works quite well with. Because it's got the option to taper it down at the bottom and create a slimmer silhouette, it works quite nicely with wider trousers and it creates that triangular shape, or you can wear it with a really nice pair of jeans with just some thinner t-shirts or sweatshirts underneath. The Type 2 develops on the Type 1 with a few key changes. Brought around in the mid-20th century, the Type 2 has a secondary pocket, and it removes the back cinch in favour of these side tabs here. A boxier fit allows the Type 2 to be worn with more layers, so you can pop sweater vests, ties, shirts under it, and its symmetry and these pleats that carry over from the Type 1 make for a neater look. So because the Type 2 was really popular in 1950s Hollywood, and it was adopted by the Ivy League dressers of the 1960s, culturally, we associate the Type 2 with slightly dressier looks. It's important to note, because the Type 2 is so short, it might not work on everyone. So if you are looking for a little bit of a more versatile jacket, it might be worth trying one on before you buy. Brought about in the mid-1960s, the Type 3 is probably the most radical redesign of these 3 jackets. It does away with the front pleating on the Type 1 and Type 2 and replaces them with these triangular knife seams. The pockets are more triangular and more associated with that Western style, and the overall shape of the jacket is slightly slimmer and longer than the other 2. The slimmer, more triangular shape lends it to very different outfits than the previous 2 jackets, but we've seen it styled really well with more Western inspired outfits, but it also had a big resurgence in the 90s, being worn by people like Kurt Cobain and a lot of that grunge scene. So it works very nicely on more casual stuff as well. Obviously, all of these jackets are meant to fade, but this one in particular looks fantastic with a bit of wear. This really is the pair of jeans, if you will, of the jacket world. You can really wear it with anything and everything and it will look good. Slimmer trousers, wider trousers, casual, dressed up. It suits so many body types and it is a great, reliable choice. If you're looking for jacket designs that take more vintage inspiration, there is Lee. Lee's designs span a huge history, having designs from the early 20th century all the way up to the 1970s and 80s, and all of them are built for specific purposes and specific reasons. We find their cowboy stuff is probably their greatest strength. Cropped Western styles like the Loco Jacket pair really nicely with both vintage and more contemporary pieces. Or you can really pull on that vintage inspiration with pieces like Wabosh trousers and vintage Henleys. The options for denim jackets are almost endless. There are so many different styles and variations, but hopefully this has given you a kind of brief overview of the types that you'll most likely see. Now you know which silhouettes work with each jacket, it should be easier to integrate these styles into your wardrobe. But if you're still unsure, the best policy is always try 'em before you buy.